On Saturday, former President Jimmy Carter's last journey begins. His body will travel from Plains, Georgia to Atlanta, then to the nation's capital before finally coming back home. In tonight's Project Earth, Ann Makovec has a look back at the late president's bold vision for the environment, one that's provided a framework to how the country is responding to climate change.
When it comes to protecting Mother Earth, President Jimmy Carter was ahead of his time.
Jimmy Carter was enormously aware of how important it was to preserve our land. He was an environmentalist in large measure. One of the things that he did on that count was introduce the notion of clean energy.
It will be a tremendous, exciting challenge to the American people.
In 1979, Carter had 32 solar panels installed on the roof of the White House West Wing. He called them part of a new solar strategy, saying no one could ever embargo the sun. The panels would heat water for the West Wing and conserve energy.
This solar strategy will not be easy.
In 1978, Carter signed a vigorously debated energy bill. It imposed penalties on gas-guzzling cars, required more energy-efficient appliances, and provided tax incentives to develop wind and solar technologies. But as critics pointed out, it also encouraged domestic coal mining and deregulated natural gas. Also included in Carter's climate legacy, he protected more than a dozen rivers, as well as wetlands, national forests, and coastal areas.
And he was particularly aware of the importance of preserving our land.
A major accomplishment, President Carter's actions in Alaska. In 1980, just weeks before the end of his presidency, Carter signed legislation that resulted in the protection of more than 100 million acres of public lands in Alaska. The act designated the land as national parks and wildlife refuges, including the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge.
They seem to like that.
In 1990, that bold vision brought Carter to visit the refuge, where he crossed paths with then KPIX news anchor Kate Kelly. Kelly was camping on the refuge with her sister, environmental author Debbie Miller, and Miller's two young daughters. They got a surprise visit from Carter, his wife Rosalind, and a documentary crew. The president wanted to meet Kelly's sister.
It's not really.
In 1992, Kelly saw President Carter one more time, this time in San Francisco. She asked him about energy.
Well, we had a very comprehensive energy policy put on the law books of our nation while I was in office, requiring efficient automobiles. Requiring homes to be insulated so they wouldn't waste heat.
When Carter installed those solar panels, he wanted the nation to get 20% of its power from the sun by the year 2000. If we had done that, many believe we'd be living on a much cooler planet.
And those solar panels on the roof of the West Wing, they were removed by his successor, President Ronald Reagan. The panels have found new homes, including at the Carter Library, the Smithsonian, and at a solar science and technology museum in China.